Let's look at writing in the Actively Learn platform. Today we're going to look at three features. The first one will be looking at the short answers and constructed response inside an article. Second, we'll be using the Google Docs add-on to import notes for analysis from articles or novels in the platform. And third, we'll take a look at the student research project. So I have two screens open, so I'm going to flip back and forth. This one I'm signed in as a student, and this one I'm signed in as a teacher, just to make this easier to look at. So in the first instance, let's take a look at the feedback loop for short answer and constructed response. So when students work in the platform, in articles or novels, the teacher gets this great data about how a student is spending their time and how engaged they are with the text. But what I'd like to look at regarding writing is in the grading section. So this is the opportunity your teachers have to provide feedback for those short answer constructed response questions. And so you can see the whole history in the platform. It keeps a first response, it keeps the comment provided in grading, and it keeps the additional response. And so also important to know in the platform is that all of these, the feedback that a teacher provides saves. And so it really helps reduce teacher lift on grading. So the teacher can obviously grade this, provide feedback, include a grade, and send it back to the student for more revision. And you can see that that is also still tracked in the platform. So if we specifically, let's look at this particular question. And so I'm going to flip into the student version. And when we scroll down to look at those short answer questions, we know I'm going to ask to revise this question. So I'd already typed a second draft. This was used in a training with teachers. Now as the teacher, I have this red refresh button, and when I click it, I can see that the student has requested another revision. And you can also turn that off and allow students to revise as needed. So I'm going to again say, incomplete, use text evidence. And so when I hit enter, I get that revision goes to my student. So you can see the comment is there. And now on the student side, again, I have the option, the window is open for me to type more text. And so I can third draft. What I'd like to point out is that this really allows everyone, the student, the teacher, it allows you to go ahead and really work through that process. And the teacher gets so much concrete feedback about how the writing process has gone. They can provide more information, they can ask for more information, they can easily do that with students. So it's a great way to use the feedback loop when you're working on constructed response. And if your district or your school has a strategy for writing, maybe you work with RACE, right? Restate, answer, cite, explain. Whatever guidance your students have been given in writing those constructed response questions, your teachers can provide that feedback in the platform, and then it'll save for the next time they want to provide that same piece of criticism. Let's look at using the platform as analysis to really work with the Google Docs add-on for like an essay. So I'm going to open this article, 3 questions to ask yourself next time you see a graph, a chart, or a map. And so as a teacher, I would really direct the annotation process here. I would tell my students what we were going to be writing about. I would ask them to really frame and think about their annotations in the writing process. And then you can see as a student, I've gone through, and so here's where I've taken my notes as a student, and I want to just click through a couple of those. So as a student, I've done some highlighting. I've used my metacognitive strategies, and I really labeled my thinking here. I've responded to some of my teachers' notes on the side of the article when they've asked a discussion question, or if we've had some additional help notes over on the side. And I also have really kind of taken some time to answer this question in depth. And so if I take a look at my question or my answer, it's right here. Now, we have a Google Doc add-on. So when I open Google Docs and I click into add-ons, if I've never used an add-on before, or if I've never used the Actively Learn add-on, I'll go to Get Add-ons and I will type Actively Learn in the toolbar. And it'll pop up as one of your options. When you click on it, you can install the add-on here. This is just like a Chrome extension. And then I already have it installed, so it's obviously right there. When I'm back in the document, and let's say our teacher has already shared the essay instructions or a template for what they want the essay to be about, my students are going to click Actively Learn. They're going to open it in the sidebar. It will ask for permission the first time. And then your students are going to select the text or multiple texts that they're using as their analysis. Maybe you're even reading a novel and your students have been working on annotating Hamlet and you're going to have them write about it, right? And so this brings in all of the evidence inside the platform and all of the notes and highlights that the student has already created. So you can see that these are the answers to my short answer, my constructed response questions. And then these are my additional highlights and notes with my tags. So I can also start a new paragraph here and I can insert these notes into the platform from the Google Doc add-on. Lastly, let's look at how you can use the student research project with the Google Doc add-on to really allow your students to kind of bring things into the platform. So I'm going to switch to student mode. I obviously get my blue student screen. And now I've got some projects here when I click on the research project. So my students have this research project tab that I don't necessarily see as the teacher, and I'll show you how to access that data. So these are pieces that I have been working in a group project with. So they are labeled as co-researching because they're shared with a peer, so you can see who has access. And then this is where I, as a student, can bring things into the platform. And again, once I've brought things into the platform, I can do the same thing that we just looked at. I can add notes in the side. I can interact with the text. I can answer questions. I could work really on analyzing what's happening over on the side. I can also label things. I can also, work on my citation. Maybe I'm working on my MLA citation for this paper. I can just click next. It's going to copy these. And then I can go back into that Google Docs and I can go ahead and make a new page and make it be my works cited page. And then I'm going to just paste all that information, and there's my works cited page with my information in the correct order. When I go back here, as a student, there we go. Let's close this. So as a student, I really have the same options that I used in the previous example of pulling an analysis into the Google Doc. So now I can just select my research articles are here as well, and you'll see they're labeled research here. And I can bring all of those things into the Google Docs from my Actively Learn add-on, just like I did previously. From the teacher point of view, if you want to see what the teacher data looks like on the student research, if I go here, I go back to my class and click on my roster. I need to go into my student data. And when I find that student, I'll have research. And you can see I've selected the student's name. There's a research tab. I can see what the title of the piece is. I can see who added it to the platform. And I can also see the date that it was brought in, how many minutes the student has been engaged with it. I can look at their source and if they've labeled and how many notes they've taken. So while I might not be able to see into each individual screen, I'm still able to really have a great overview of what those students are looking at. So those are just a few ways that you can really work with writing in the Actively Learn platform. Thanks. Have a great day.